I'm going to try and just explain to you a few structures and a few practical implementations by taking you through a whole bunch of slides. And essentially, it revolves around the construction of the RTSF. What you'll see on the screen right now, the green area is what we require for beneficial occupation of RTSF. Beneficial occupation meaning the RTSF is actually divided into 3 phases. And this is phase 1, where we get authorization to start depositing on this area while still constructing the rest of the dam in phase 2 and phase 3. So all of this area needs to be lined, and as you can see from the black liner, certain parts of the plant or area has already been lined. There's a fairly large area that's already covered and a certain area that has already been prepared but is still required for lining purposes. A portion that's more important for us, however, is associated with the drains. Now, what you'll see is whilst we're in constructing and we don't have beneficial occupation yet, the water that falls on this area, the topography slopes from north to south. So the southern area being at the bottom of your screen, north obviously at the top of the screen. And for that reason, all of the water then needs to be drained off this area, and that's where you see this temporary stormwater drain canal being installed. At this point in time, all of that water drains through that stormwater canal. Once we do get beneficial occupation, that stormwater canal needs to be sealed off, which will then contain all of this water within the basin itself. So there you can see the stormwater canal. So the radial drains, those are the first set of drains. They go into the basin of the RTSF. Second set of drains is the borrow pit drain. That's running around, it's indicated by this green line, running right around the tailings dam on the inside of the starter wall. You then have your main drain, as indicated by this yellowish color. And as the name suggests, that's the main drain that recovers the majority of your water from the inside of the basin and the floor of your tailings dam. That's followed by an intermediate drain and a toe drain. Now these drains, what will happen is once you start depositing, you'll start depositing onto the inside of the drain. That's called upstreaming, but then at a point in time, you'll also do downstream depositioning, which increases the width of the starter wall, and you'll actually start depositing on the outside, and that is the purpose of your intermediate drain, is to then cover the water from whatever you're depositing on the downstream side of things. And then you've got a toe drain. Right at the toe of the tailings dam facility, you've got another set of drains. All of these drains, the water from them are then collected in a collector pipe right at the toe of the final facility wall. And this water from the toe drain, collecting the radial drains, the borrow pit drain, the main drain, toe drain, as well as the intermediate drain, goes into the collector pipe, and from there it flows into dam 3 and 4 on the southern side of the facility. So all of the drains, the purpose of the drains is to collect water from the base of the facility, and the base of the facility being lined. So therefore, the only way for this water to get out of the facility is via this drainage system. So the drains is extremely important design factor. Inside the facility, there's a berm wall that's created, and this wall, the decant pumping system, will be situated on this wall, and you'll retract that decant pumping system as you start filling the tailings dam. And this water is now on top of the tailings dam. So this is the water that's captured higher up in the facility. This water is drained and pumped via a pump station and a pipeline to your Turnwater Dam 1 and 2 at the top of the facility. All of the drains drain the water from the bottom of the facility to dam 3 and 4, and then the water from dam 3 and 4 is also pumped across via external pipeline to return water dam 1 and 2. So all of the water from this facility eventually ends up in dam 1 and 2, and then it's pumped back from dam 1 and 2 to the reclamation stations, where we utilize all of the water in a closed water circuit. Rain is probably the biggest impact that we've got on the construction of the facility. And if you look at this area highlighted in red, that is the area which is a high-risk zone for us during construction phase if we had to receive a significant amount of rain during that period. Now, the reason for that, this is that temporary stormwater drainage pipe that we've got in currently. So all the water that falls on this facility, we can currently drain because this is clean water. It has not been impacted by any mining activity, and we can drain that water off the site. Once we start with beneficial occupation and depositioning, we've got to close up this temporary stormwater pipe. We actually seal it up with concrete, and all of the water is then contained that falls on the surface area. The problem that you sit with is, as we deposit material into the bottom side of the basin, we require good drainage, and if there's stormwater entering this, it reduces the density of the material. As soon as you reduce the density of the material, you run the risk of getting segregation of your finer particles, and that is a huge risk for the drainage system. Now, just to explain what I've just said in terms of segregation and how that works, I'll just quickly explain to you how the starter wall and the drainage system is constructed to show what the segregation of material might have the impact on. So what you see here is, first off, the starter wall, the outside, the borrow pit section. This is what we're referring to here. That area is being compacted and rolled and prepared for your liner and your drainage system to be installed. So this is the base layer of your earthworks that's being constructed to ensure you've got a competent base layer prior to putting your drainage system down. That is what that system looks like once you've compacted it, or the earthworks looks like, and you'll have the borrow pit drain up here and the main drain on the left-hand side. Once you've prepared that surface area, it's then ready to put your liner down, and the entire area is then covered by a HDPE liner. And the purpose of this is obviously to protect your groundwater, and any water that comes off the facility is then captured by this liner. But the liner is HDPE, you need to protect that, and that we protect by placing a geomembrane on top of the liner, as you can see there. The next layer will be a stone base layer that we put down, and then on top of the stone layer you place this perforated pipe, which is the main removing system of the water. So this pipe is perforated and it's on a bed of stone, and next section is you'll cover that pipeline with additional stone material, as you can see there, until it's leveled out. Once it's leveled out, you then fold the geofabric over the constructed material, and here's actually a very good picture to show you the 4 phases. So if you look at where my cursor is right now, that is where the pipeline is installed, and you're still busy filling that area with the stone prior to folding over the geomembrane. On top here, if you look at the main drain, so that's the borrow pit drain, that's the main drain. What you can see here is the geomembrane just before it's being folded over. The area has now been filled with the stone. You then fold over the membrane and you put a sand layer on top of that. That's what you see on the next slide where my cursor is right now. Then once you've put the sand layer on top of the geomembrane, we put a sacrificial liner on top of that sand layer. The purpose of the sacrificial liner is to ensure that any dust that's blown over this area does not contaminate the sand layer, because again, that is very fine material which runs the risk of blinding it. So as soon as we start depositing, we'll actually remove the sacrificial green layer you can see there. So essentially what you then end up with is the sand layer, and then all of that material. Here you can see the various layers now being constructed and the pipe coming out. All of these pipes are then connected via a manhole. So what you can see here, for instance, is a radial drain, main drain, and an intermediate drain coming in, and this is the collector pipe running through. So all of this water being collected into a manhole and then connecting up with your collector pipeline running around the tailings dam. So that's essentially now, if I take a side view of that constructed layer, you can now see the purpose. These are now the various layers. So you've got the sand layer, the geomembrane layer, the stone material, and then the perforated pipe. So the water on top, on the inside, is now allowed, like a French drain, to flow through this various material and enter into the pipeline, and then this water is removed from the base of the facility. As you can see there, water then enters into the perforated pipe and is removed. The problem, however, as mentioned to you, is if we drop the density and we get segregation, then the fine particles in the material flows faster than what you've got the heavier material, and that then starts flowing into this material that you've got on top of the perforated pipe. It enters in there and then starts clogging up the sand as well as the spaces in between the stone material. And then if you allow that long enough, you run the risk of clogging up this entire circuit and then preventing any water from entering into your drainage system. And as I've mentioned to you, this is very important to us. This is the only way we've got to remove the water from the base of the facility. So very important for us is to prevent this scenario from happening. And this brings me to this slide. So we've got an opportunity to increase the treatment capacity at DP2 from 500,000 tons per month to 600,000 tons per month, up to a point in time when we then anticipate to bring the Libanon tailings dam online. As soon as we bring Libanon tailings dam online, we can then increase the treatment capacity from 600,000 tons up to 1.2 million tons per month. So during this period here, there's an opportunity to increase it from 500 to 600 for a 6-month period, which equates to approximately 120 kilograms of gold. But this is dependent on a few things. Obviously, getting a regulatory approval, getting the Libanon facility up and running, making sure that the construction is happening on time, but also depending on weather. So the impact that additional rain can have and the risk that that poses for this facility. And therefore, the current planning for us is to continuously look at this opportunity and see how the construction of this facility is looking. But eventually, starting in this period here, after Q4 of 2027, we intend to then ramp up to 1.2 million tons per month. And this is to ensure that we do not compromise the RTSF facility and making sure that it's constructed in a responsible manner.